Hi. I want to ask, in Super Smash Bros. Melee, what are some of the high-risk, high-return moves that are available? And also, do you start with a lower risk or higher risk when designing?
はい。なるほど。
Okay.
マーブルっていうか、
The
おはじき
marble?
っていうゲームは
You know the
海外
marble?
にありますか？
You have a marble game in here? You know, like shooting marbles?
ある。
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then probably it's
それ
easy
で
to
ですね
understand.
もともとは実はスマホブラザーズ
Actually, the Smash Brothers is kind of like a marble shooting
おはじ
game.
きを元にした
So the based on
題
those
であった
marble shooting, I got an
お
idea.
はじきがあって
There is a marble,
アームみたいなの
and
が
there
つ
is
いて
some
るん
kind
で
of
す
an arm,
でアームが
and
ガ
then
ンガンと動くことで
moves,
敵を吹っ飛ばす
and they
その
can
まさに
shoot
おはじきみたい
away
に
like a
吹っ飛ばす
marble. You know,
わけですね
marble shooting
敵キャラ
away,
っていうの
shooting
が
off
その
the
リスク
another
そのものを
marbles.
そのリスキーだ
So
そい
the,
つが
the,
近づ
the
くだけ
enemies
で
are
やら
risky,
れ
so
るかもしれない
distance is
だ
very
けれども
risky.
それを気持ちよく
However,
パーンと
if
退け
you
るっていうところ
shoot
に
away,
ス
it's,
マブ
you
ラの
feel
面白さ
very,
が
very
隠れ
good,
ていたん
and
で
that's
す
like a
が
big return. That's what I
もちろん
thought.
おはじきのキャラクタ
And
ー
of
で
course,
ゲ
yeah,
ームが売れ
the
るわけはないんで
characters
す
of
よ
a
ね
marble is not very
だから
interesting. So
おは
that's
じき
how I
人がつきま
created
した
some
自
human
分で
being,
ソフトイメージとか勉
like
強してですね
software
今
image, and I
任天堂
designed
ジャパン
some.
の社長の岩田さんとか
Actually, the
プログラ
Mr.
ム
Iwatani
2
over
人で
in
やったん
Nintendo
ですが
Japan asked me like if you can put some
そこ
human
で
element in
吹っ飛
here.
ばす敵を吹っ飛ばす
So when you
格闘ゲー
shoot
ムという
away, it's like a fighting game. That's how
だんだんだん
Smash
だん
Mario
そ
is
の攻撃
created.
のパーセン
And
テージ蓄
sometimes
積ダメージが上がる
there's
よ
a
うになる
damage. It's getting
でその
higher
蓄
and
積ダメージ
higher,
があ
and
る
the
と
body is getting
同じ
tired.
攻撃に
So
対して
if you
その
got the
リス
same
クとリターンっていう
attack,
のが大きく変わる
but
ん
there
で
is a
すね
different risk,
今まで
different
は
returns.
全くその
For
デジタルなも
example,
のとして
because of
何々の攻撃を
before
受けた
that,
らどれだけ
I
減る
was
っていう
thinking
よう
about
な
if
情報しかなかったと
some
ころ
enemy
に
attack this way,
状態
you
によ
will
って
get this
そ
result.
の
But
リターンが
I
有機的に
changed
変わ
it
る
so the
リスク
health
も変わ
of
る
the characters.
自分
So
が
return,
その
the
ダメー
risk
ジを大きく受け
changes.
てる時には
So
リ
that
スク
if you
が
are
高まる
tired,
そう
I
で
mean
な
the
い時は
character
リ
is
スクが
tired,
低い
you get a
またリ
higher
ターンはその
return,
逆
a higher
っていうふう
risk.
に
So that's how
能動的
I
にどんどんどんどんその状
changed
態の場が
the
変わっていく
things
っていう
because your
ところ
situation
に
changed,
すご
health
く
of the characters changed.
特徴づけた
And
とい
I
うか
think that's a
感じづけたっていうのが
differentiating factor for the Smash Brothers with a different game.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. My question is, when creating a game like Super Smash Bros. Melee, where you updated Super Smash Bros. And you added in all of these extra moves for all players to use, how thoroughly did you test these new moves that every player could test? For example, with air dodging, we learned that it's possible to do a technique called Wavedashing, where you continually air dodge and skim along the surface. Was that something that was tested, or was that something that players, after playing it multiple times, eventually discovered?
ですね、
Well,
例えばアイスクライマーというキャラクター
For
が
example, there's a character called
アイ
Ice
スクライマ
Climber.
ーというのは2人そのキャラクターが並んでるわけですね。
The Ice Climber has
そう
two
いうのは
characters
例
who
え
are
ば
next to each
最初
other.
1人作っといて
First, I made
後から
one,
2人にしようっていうことは
and
ま
then
ずないわけです。
we're not going to make
それ
one
は
character and then
最
decide
初から
to
2人いるよう
make
に
two
作っておかないと
characters. So we
ポリゴ
have
ン数が
to
かさむ
make
し
it from the
ゲ
beginning
ームのシステ
that
ム
we'll
が
have
破綻
two
するし
characters. Otherwise, you'll have too many
なっていくわけですね。
polygons,
で
and then it'll
だ
become
から
too
最
much.
初から
You'll have problems
2
with
人
the
で
program. So from the
動くっていうこ
beginning,
とを想定して
this was we
指示を出してい
envisioned
くわけです。
that two people will be moving together, and that's when you put out the commands. That means with two people you have more advantages. So you have to think about, okay, this means they're in an advantageous position, so you have to perhaps do some kind of attack. They're going to be weak to this and that. Of course, you can adjust the attack, but motions and graphics, once you create them, it's very difficult to change. Motions you can change, perhaps. But so we have to ask the designer to change these later on, which is a real pain in the butt. So from the beginning, to a certain extent, we have already decided on a lot of these things. Otherwise, it's very difficult to differentiate between all of these amounts of stuff. Does that make sense? Do you understand?
Yes. So it's just a lot of thorough testing.
Sorry.
Can you hear?
テストは
As far as testing is concerned, that's true. Yes, we do a certain amount of testing. However, if we continue to do a lot of tests, we can't actually do the game. So at one point, we have to just decide this is it, we're finished. And there are, of course, a lot of points that I regret now myself. For example, when I made the Japanese version, I thought this character was too strong or too weak. And so I will look back and regret what I had chosen. So when we come up with a new version, I might change that on the sly. So the Japanese Smash Brothers and the international version actually have different character strength. And in fact, Kirby, the international version, is a little bit stronger than the Japanese version.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your
Last
talk.
question.
This will be the last question.
Okay. I had a question about design process. And so clearly, there's a lot of characters in Smash Brothers. And if you're the lead designer, you control all of that. Do you have sub-designers who design each of the characters and then get reviewed by the main designer? And also, how much input do programmers have to the design process if they find smaller details that, for technical reasons, you have to revise? So I'm just asking about how you organize the design process so that all these characters are managed.
The characters, of course, have a designer. Each character has a designer, but I'm in charge of all of it. In other words, I look at the model, and I will say, "Oh, we should do this. I prefer this," and I'm very detailed about this, how it's highlighted, and how this movement is done. I've done actually quite a bit of comments on that. And Smash Brothers,
世相のないゲーム、これも英語では分かりにくいかもしれないですけど、なんかこうキャラクターがこういっぱいいて、いろんな世界観のキャラクターが混じって
there are a lot of characters with different worldviews, little perfectos, and especially when you're making it for GameCube, I thought we have to have the same worldview for all the characters. For example, the overall has to be included in there, and that's a somewhat serious perspective. And there might be Zelda and other characters which are very realistic. But it's not necessary to make it extremely realistic. You can make it a little bit, more like a cartoon character. And so you have to try to get the graphics to be similar to each other. So basically, that's something that, according to my value, I decided was important, or my perspective. But design will always have a design leader, and the leader can perhaps be very involved with the design processes of all the other characters. But I think a lot of people have different ways of giving requests and involving with that. And then I have asked each of the original creators to be involved with that. I thought that it's even if they say that we can't change this particular character's worldview because Mario is going to be hitting Zelda, we can't really talk about the worldview being this and that and the other. For example, the designer and the people who made the original game cannot be put in a position where they're unhappy. So for Smash Brothers, we had to try to come up with a way that we can make the characters so that these original designers will be able to accept what we did.
Well, thank you. I thought what's really best was in Smash Brothers, all the characters could, from different games, could fight each other and be balanced still, like Game & Watch against Zelda or all the other characters who were never meant to be in the same game. So it was really cool. Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
What's this?